You're listening to Swingology, a lifestyle podcast. Swingology is for adult entertainment only, and we're not licensed professionals. Our show features adult themes, language, and descriptions of sexual acts and desires. If you're under 18, this is not the show for you. The ideas and opinions expressed are those of the speaker only and not of any company or entity, and should not be considered professional advice. Now, let's stimulate your mind. Welcome back to another episode of Swingology, a lifestyle podcast. We are your host, Tori Kist.
And Steve Kist.
And today we're going to be talking about bulls and unicorns and what it's like to be with a couple, find a couple, and all the ins and outs and naughty details of that. Steve.
Yes.
Talk to me, Goose.
Well, I can only speak to the perspective of being a bull.
Are you sure you can't talk about being a unicorn?
I mean, we can talk about our experiences with unicorns. We have plenty of those.
I just realized, let's rewind and explain what is a unicorn and what is a bull.
Okay, so a unicorn is the single female who is looking for or is interested or is willing to play with a couple or a stag or a vixen. It's just a single female that's in the lifestyle. And the bull is kind of the same thing, right? It's just the opposing of the unicorn. It's a single male in the lifestyle. I mean, there's not much else to it.
Okay, so those are basically a unicorn is a single female and a bull is a single male. Those are the nicknames, or the cute little pet names that are given. Not every female likes being called a unicorn. They may feel objectified, so they just like to be called their name or a bull. I don't know if guys really care.
Someone does. So, I mean, some people just don't like titles in general. So the fact that you say, I don't like to be called a unicorn or I don't like to be called a bull, it's just a preference. And then there's some people out there that love their title. They want to shout it from the rooftops and let everyone know, I'm a unicorn. Everyone knows that I'm available for their couple's enjoyment.
So for the purposes of today's episode, we're going to be using the term unicorn for single females, and we don't mean to discriminate.
To discriminate
or
against...
insult at all.
Right. Or to, degrade single females.
Yeah, we're not trying to objectify. We're just,
right.
This is the common term. Also, let's make it even more complicated, my love. What about dragon? I've heard people call single males dragons.
Well, there's quite a few single males in the lifestyle that like to play with just the females, and they're proud to call themselves bull, but the term dragon is used in some areas of the country as a single male who's willing to play with both husband and wife.
Yeah.
So It's not a term that has caught on everywhere, but it is a term that is catching in some locations.
All right. So you have experience being a bull, and I love this for you. You've learned a lot in your time being in the lifestyle, being a bull. And I do not have any experience being a unicorn. However, we do have experience playing with a unicorn.
Actually, I'm going to stop you there. You do have experience being a unicorn.
I was a unicorn.
Yes.
Without even knowing it. Okay, who was the lucky couple?
You may or may not remember, we were at a house party once, and I was off playing with a very beautiful wife, and you were outside, as you tell the story,
I remember.
At a fire pit.
Yes.
Okay,
oh my
well,
gosh.
there you go. You were totally a unicorn in that moment.
I loved that experience too.
Oh, so you loved it. Okay, so talk about this moment.
Okay. So Steve and I got to this house party, big, beautiful house. We walk around, introduce ourselves to everyone, get drinks, and we're just vibing. And he vibes with this sexy, hot wife. They go upstairs and they start having sex. And I'm down.
She had 10 years on me, and she knew what she wanted. She zeroed in on me, and I was all about that thirsty energy. I was like, okay, girl, let's go.
Yes. In fact, I got you the last bottle of water in the cooler. I was like, you guys are still going here. Have this water. But I wasn't really vibing with anyone, which is totally fine. So I went out to the fire pit and was just, talking to everyone out there. Pretty late in the party time, this younger couple arrived and they went out and they were kind of new to the lifestyle. And I started talking to them. After about 35 minutes of being outside, I was like, hey, you can tell me no, that's totally fine. But would you guys like to go inside to one of the rooms? We can close the door and just see what happens. We don't have to do anything, or we could just talk in there. And they're like, yeah, that sounds good. Let's go in there. So we went in the room, and one thing led to another, and we got to playing, and it was great.
Okay, so see, there you go.
Yes.
And it can be just as simple as that. It's not that you went out there and advertised yourself as a unicorn. It's just that's how the situation evolved for you.
Right.
For me, my first real experiences outside of little parties and things of that nature was when I spent some time in Georgia. I was on a specific search to find a long-term couple that I could be a routine partner with.
I think you were late 20s, early 30s.
Yep. Over the course of 2 or 3 years, I'd found or had met with, I don't know, a half dozen, 8 couples, but I had a real relationship longer than a play session or 2 with 2 of them. Mm-hmm. And one of them was more long-term, the other one. And they were both different types of being a third for them. Like one was very just matter of fact, play only. It was almost transactional in nature. Mm-hmm. It was, you're going to come over Friday. You're going to be gone by 10:30. And thank you for pleasuring my wife. Have a good day. We'll contact you when we want you to come over again.
Yeah.
It was just strictly like that. That went on for quite a while. Whereas the other relationship was much more of almost poly feeling.
Okay.
Now, it wasn't poly. It was just, there wasn't labels attached to anything. It was just, he's over. The wife said that she loved me. I said that I loved them.
Oh.
You know? Yeah. But like, it wasn't like I was the boyfriend.
Right.
It wasn't like I was their quote unquote third. Again, there just wasn't labels. It was just, we all realized that we're humans. We all realized that we had feelings, and we all realized that we could express them without jealousy.
Okay.
There was a certain kind of a freedom with that, and it was great. And I miss it. I miss that.
You miss that energy.
I miss that energy. So
life pulled you away. You had to move away.
Yeah.
And lost connection.
Yep. So there's certain ways to go about as a bowl or as a couple, and you're looking for your third. And a lot of it, I think, mostly involves, of course, some people would disagree, but for me, it always involved initiating searches online. So it'd be like, I would just kind of put myself out there and let people know that I am looking or I'm available, and then seeing if there's any kind of positive feedback response, and have some kind of meet somewhere, get the vibes, see if we're normal people and that we're into each other, and then continue on from there. One of the things that, as a guy, as a bull, my piece of advice is try to always speak to the husband first. As just as a basic common etiquette, courtesy. Don't wait. Like if you're at an event, don't wait for the husband to stand up and walk away to talk to the wife. Just approach the couple, talk to the husband first. Because if you're going to be in some kind of third relationship with them anyway, whether it's a one-time deal or whether it's ongoing, you're going to end up talking to the husband anyway. So why are you not going to give him the courtesy, or why are you going to show cowardice by waiting until the husband leaves to talk to the wife? As a third that has been lots of conversations with couples over the years, that's one of their main complaints. That right. When they talk about looking for a bull or a third, it's one of the complaints that they have when they're at an event or they're out and about. You
told me a story recently, a story where you were cringing for the guy. It's back in the days when you were a bull for that couple. There was this new single guy that came over to play with the wife. Mm-hmm. Remember? He came in and didn't even talk to the husband, didn't make any eye contact, kind of ignored that he was even there. He did his thing with the wife. And the whole time you were like getting protective. You were thinking you were holding yourself back, but in your mind you were like, no, you have to acknowledge the husband. You're the only reason why you're here is because of him.
Yeah, it was very cringe for me. So it was, again, the couple that I was very free with. They had admitted to me like, hey, listen, we enjoy your company. We like having you over. We don't want to restrict you, but we also want to start opening ourselves up to meeting other people. And of course I gave like, yeah, let's do it. Like, I don't mind if you do that. If I come over or whatever, it's like, if you don't want me here, let me know. So I knew in advance that they were going to be talking to someone and having someone come over. And so let's just say it was a Friday night. I'm there first and I'm in the kitchen and I'm just having a conversation with the husband, and the guy shows up. The wife opens the door. The husband goes to the front door, and the guy just kind of like literally blew the husband by as if he didn't exist, while the husband was kind of like trying to introduce himself. I was just so like, what? I couldn't believe that had happened. The wife recognized the problem when I was like with my mouth open, stopped, introduced her husband. Then they continued on. She gave the guy a tour. And then there was more of this whole like, it was just this whole vibe that continued on from that moment, that the husband wasn't really there. He wasn't involved. And yet he was. The husband was trying to tell the guy what he liked. Like, I like this, I like that. And the dude was just kind of like nodding his head. He's like, yeah, sure. But then there was no feedback. There was like, oh, well, if you like this, would it be better if I did this? Or would it be better if I, made a call first instead? There was no like reciprocal like questioning. The guy was just nodding his head. Like
he wasn't retaining the request.
Yeah, he wasn't understanding like the concept. He was only interested in what he was getting. He didn't care about the husband's requests or his side of things, right, or what he was getting out of it. And I'm just over here shaking my head going, I cannot believe this is continuing on. But eventually it did. The couple had an experience in the bedroom. It was kind of short-lived. The guy left. So I was just having a conversation with the couple. I was like, so how do you guys feel that went?
Right.
And the wife's like, well, the performance was kind of typical. And the husband's like, I didn't really care for it. I knew the husband wasn't really happy with that. And what I had done in that situation was played as like the third party observer counselor. And I was like, so as the wife, did you feel like your husband was getting the respect that he needed? Did you feel like the guy was looking out for what your husband really wanted? And she was like, I guess you're right. I guess I didn't see it that way in the moment.
Right.
Before you even go out there and put yourself, you got to understand where your boundaries are first. So, for example, I myself in our marriage might go out and be a third to a couple, right? We have our own boundaries that I have to understand and respect before I go and put myself out there, right?
Right.
You need to identify who you are and where our boundaries are before I can pretend to understand if I'm going to be able to fit in another couple's dynamic and their boundaries. And if you aren't comfortable with knowing exactly where your boundaries lie and what you can and can't do and can and can't get involved with, then you're really not ready to move outside of your bubble, your space, and see if you can integrate yourself into someone else's play style.
Right. Step one is know your boundaries and have your identity set.
Yep.
And then, of course, some of that you're going to adjust as you have experiences.
Mm-hmm. I would say one of the largest defining boundaries that just varies greatly with couples, whether it's looking for bulls or whether it's looking for unicorns, is this concept of emotions. We don't want emotions involved, or we don't mind.
There have been quite a few couples that we've met where they said, oh, we used to have a unicorn, but then she got feelings.
But that same couple will also say, we're not DTF.
Okay.
But then I have to point out the obvious. I'm like, okay, so you're not DTF, but you don't want emotions. So there's a paradox that you have just created yourself, and they almost never realize it. And so I have to explain it to them. I was like, if you're a true DTF, which is short for down to fuck, that means you can walk into a room, you don't need to know someone's name, and you can immediately start playing with them. That's DTF. You're down to fuck people. If you don't want emotions, then you got to look at your relationship with a person on a scale of 1 to 100, or maybe 0 to 100. DTF would be 0. I don't need to know your name. I don't need to know anything about you. My relationship with you is at level 0. At level 100, you feel like you're soulmates. And then everything in the middle there is a spectrum between I don't know you and we're soulmates. So what you're saying is somewhere between I need to get to know you, I need to feel a little bit more of a connection, it needs to be a little bit more than friends. What you're saying is somewhere on that spectrum you have drawn a line and you don't want it to go past that line.
Right.
Unless you can articulate where that line is clearly, you are going to have a problem. You have to be able to articulate where the line is, where you want it to be. For some people, that's just leaving it as, I don't want to put a label on it. Mm-hmm. That's okay. Maybe you can allow yourself to experience feelings, but as long as, and express those feelings, but as long as no one's claiming a label or a title, maybe that's where the comfort lies. Maybe that's where that boundary is. For some couples, the more genuine the feeling, the more genuine the experience, the more they're going to enjoy it, the more they're going to want more of it, as opposed to we can be friends, but there's no emotions. So where on the line is that? Is that over like closer to 10 as opposed to 50? Like, I don't even know where you would draw that line. I think it's helpful just for all parties involved if you just articulate where you don't want it to go.
It's very important that you understand where your spouse is at as well.
Right. So like in our relationship, there's only 3 of us involved in this dynamic, right? There's myself and then there's the other couple. But there's actually one more person involved because I am married. So I'm not even technically single. I might present myself as single. Of course, they know I'm married. It's not like I'm saying I'm a single out there. It's not like I'm lying to them.
You're playing as a single.
I'm playing as a single, right? So I let them know, yes, I'm married. I'm out here as a single. My wife never has to be involved, or maybe she will be if you guys are cool with that, maybe one day.
But if I become uncomfortable with the whole situation, even if all 3 of you guys are comfortable,
then that's something that we have to take into consideration. If my wife pulls like the red flag card, then I have to prioritize my wife and say, what's going on? Why do you feel this way? Do I need to cut this off? How do you feel? Talk to me,
Exactly.
Like, let's say you're a married couple and your partner wants to go be a third, whether it's for one night or an ongoing thing, and you want your partner to stop and they don't. That's where you need to press the brakes even harder, because now they're not making you priority.
You should always be the priority in your relationship.
Right. And the moment you feel like you're not a priority, or there's evidence that you're not a priority, that's when you hit the brakes harder. Let's talk about unicorns and our experiences with unicorns.
Okay, so our experience with unicorns is pretty limited.
Really? I don't know. So I hear couples talk about how it's so hard to find unicorns and they never find them. But we've had over like 6 or a dozen unicorns experiences, haven't we?
I suppose what I meant is pretty limited compared to full swaps.
Oh, well, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so my first experience with a unicorn was actually on the Temptations cruise back in 2022. It was a lovely woman who befriended us at the pool. One thing led to another, and it was my first experience with the unicorn. I didn't know what to do because that was when I was trying to be bisexual, wasn't really feeling it, not really knowing what my vibe was, or sorry, let's rephrase that, not really knowing what I wanted in regards to bisexuality. So I saw you guys start, and I tried to find little places that I could fit in on the bed and do things, but I didn't really want to do anything to her, and it was very much you guys doing things, so I didn't want to take you away from her, so I felt really awkward.
But also you didn't really want to receive attention because you just specifically said, I don't want to be the center of attention. So it made it awkward for us to like, okay, well, if we can't both put our attention on you, that means if we're going to put our attention on anyone, it has to be each other. And then when we put it on each other, you didn't know how to interact as the third from the outside. And so it was just that, I feel like that's how you felt uncomfortable.
If that's how your memory gives it to you, I don't remember it that way. That's fine though. I remember that was in your thirsty era and you wanted to have sex with someone new, and she was a redhead and she was hot, and so it was definitely you going to be playing with her, and I had to find a way to fit in there, and I didn't know how to fit.
Oh.
That's my memory. And there's no shame to that. It's just my memory. So what I did during that time is I found ways to be supportive. I got a sweat cloth to wipe sweat away. I got a toy when it was needed. And that's how I became this kind of provider of the sexual energy. Like, I can't be on the bed because I don't know what to do and I don't really want to touch anyone. But I can provide.
That's very interesting that you say that, because over the years, I felt like that's been a continuing thread in all of our meetups with unicorns.
That's because shortly after that experience, within a couple months, you had told me that you kind of wanted to see what it was like if I just watched and didn't do anything. That's when I started falling into that role even more.
Okay, I do remember the request of, hey, what would it be like if you just watched? But I can also remember very specific examples of when I tried to encourage you to play with a woman and you said you didn't want to go there, or you said you didn't feel like that was something you wanted to do in the moment. And it's not that I feel like I've heavily encouraged you to try to explore that.
You have.
And you would say things like, well, I don't feel like I have the experience, or I feel like I would do a bad job. And then I always try to reassure you that even on your first day in the lifestyle, when you said you didn't have any experience, you still had an amazing time with the female that you played with in that sixsome.
Right.
And that feeling of satisfaction went both ways. You had an orgasm in the bathroom. She had an orgasm. And that was on day one when you truly had no
I
experience.
was experimenting. Absolutely.
Right. Fast forward 3 years later, when you have all this additional experience, and you even have additional experience playing with women, you're still saying the same thing.
Experimenting is one thing. And after you get so many experiments under your belt, you realize where your preferences are lying, right? So 3 years in, which is now 2 years ago, my experience was leading me to this point of, I'm not really comfortable with that. And where am I today? Today, I am very vibe-ish. I will totally make out with a female if the vibe is there, but I will probably not touch another female if the vibe isn't there. And it's not about beauty, and it's not about being nice. It's literally an invisible vibe. It's so hard to describe.
Right. I feel that, and I agree with you. However, if we were to have a threesome with a woman right now, let's just say even tonight,
It could literally go any direction.
For my understanding, if you were not necessarily vibing with the female, then it would be like a V of play, where you would play with me, and I would play with you, and I would play with her, and she would play with me, but you guys wouldn't really play with each other.
Okay, correction. If I'm playing, I'm going to play with everyone. If I'm not playing, I'm going to support everyone. So it wouldn't be a V. It would be you guys playing, and I'm going to support you guys. Because I know you're amazing in bed, and I don't want to be in the way of her experiencing that amazingness.
Okay, but the idea was for us to have a threesome.
That's the thing with me. But I'm difficult. I am such a contradiction. I should not be the one spokespersoning this conversation. Because I am so complicated.
Okay, so I just don't want to give the impression that I'm restricting you in any way, or I'm discouraging you from having experiences with females, or that it's, because of me, you're not. Enter variable A with variability. Because of me, you're not. What I'm trying to get along is that you have imposed upon yourself some limitations sometimes based on you saying that I don't feel comfortable enough. I don't feel like I have enough experience. So I'm not going to go down on a girl.
I will definitely go down on a girl if I want to.
Okay.
Most of the time I don't want to.
I'm just making it clear because the last couple times it was because I didn't feel comfortable.
I'm really confused on why you feel so passionate about this topic. I thought I made it very clear. I am definitely bi, but I'm bi for the right vibe, and that vibe is so rare. It's not a beauty thing. It's not a nice thing or personality thing or an astrology thing. I will definitely go down on a female or a she-male or a man if the vibe is there. But if the vibe's not there for any gender, I'm not interested.
That I understand.
And I think that goes for everyone in this world. It's just I'm way more picky for some reason.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Over the years, when we've had threesome opportunities, I've always seen you hesitate in those moments.
Because the vibe's not there.
Okay. That's all. That's all I was trying to say.
I really liked that one chick at that one place. Hear me out. We saw her totally grinding this other woman in one of the windows, and I wanted to have a piece of that, but I was so tired because I had like no sleep the night before, but we decided to go out to this club anyway. And then on our way out, she showed interest in me, and I really wanted, but I literally had like no sleep in 48 hours. Remember that time? Anyway, this was probably like 18 months ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I remember now. Yep.
And I was like, I held her face close to mine, and I said, I really want to connect with you. I really want to do this, but I have no sleep. I have to get sleep.
And then
was it?
Contact was never reestablished.
But that's okay. It's okay. My time will come. And that gave me hope that it does exist, okay?
Okay.
But when you mentioned earlier this episode that I was a unicorn for that couple, you really sparked my memory there. It felt so natural. I know recently we've had conversations about, hey, Tori, why don't you go out with a couple and see what it's like? I kind of felt like my imagination is making those experiences feel intimidating. But the memory memory of playing with that couple at that house party was exciting and fluid and comfortable. So maybe it's time that I get out there as a single.
Didn't we recently say that maybe on this Bliss cruise that you would attempt to find a couple, have a dinner date with that couple, and then maybe have an organic play session if it went that way?
Yes, and you just mentioned something to our listeners. We are going on the Bliss Cruise November 2025. So this episode that you're listening to is probably going to be released November 15th. That means we are on the cruise right now that you're listening. That's exciting. And our plan is just like last year to record each day, a recap the morning of each day, so you guys can hear what it's like, because there's so much that happens you cannot record at the end of the cruise because you forget all the details.
That is true. Also, another bonus, our intention this cruise is to involve or have guest speakers.
Can be fun.
We'll see.
Okay, so getting back to the topic, bulls and unicorns, my love, is there anything else? How about advice? Is there any advice that you would give singles listening to our episode? Being a single, what advice would you give them? Or playing as a single?
You have to respect your own boundaries as much as you have to respect theirs. And I'm excited for a couple I met recently. And I have to remember that as much as I want that to grow and become something long term, I also have to take my time with it and keep it in check. And like, there's no reason for it to go from 0 to 100 miles an hour in 5 seconds, right? But my desire and my memories of what happened before, kind of engage me to get there quicker. And sometimes when you try to rush things, you ruin it. So it's like, take a breath, let things play out as they naturally will. And everything is always better when it's organic.
It really is. Everything's better when it's organic. Don't force it.
Exactly. Of the unicorns that we've met, one of the common themes that they sometimes complain about is a couple will approach a unicorn and say, we want you to do XYZ. This is why we want a unicorn. That will shut a large majority of unicorns off because they're looking for friends. They're looking for friends in relationships, and they want to be able to hang out, they want to be able to play, they want to be able to go to things outside of the lifestyle. And if you just make it a transactional sexual thing, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of interaction, because they're people and they just want to have relationships.
That's right. They're people, and they don't have someone waiting for them at home like you do. Be polite and acknowledge that they're human, and say, yes, you can come play with us and we'll be your friend, and you can come to the picnic with us or whatever you do, and just be friendly.
It sounds simple, and yet so many unicorns complain about it, so it has to be said. Maybe on the Bliss Cruise, you'll have your own experiences to discuss what it's like being a unicorn.
You know what? Stay tuned.
And stimulate your mind. I said it.
You did say it first. My love, are we going to give our listeners any homework today?
Oh, geez, that's all you know.
It's all me now.
I'm still discouraged. There's been no emails.
Okay, so if you would like to email us, please check the show notes of this episode. Our email is there. And
they won't do it.
You can also find us at Swingology on Instagram and on Facebook. Just look up for our Swingology. Our yellow and purple logo should pop up right there, and you can reach out to us, message us, post on our page.
They don't want to do it.
And with that, I'm going to put some Mr. Grumpy Man to bed. Tune in next time to stimulate your minds. Thank you so much for listening to Swingology. I'm truly honored to have you as a listener. If you liked what you've heard, consider subscribing to our podcast or connecting with us on social media. The links can be found with the episode show notes. This is Tori Kist, reminding you to stimulate your mind.